Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be the last in my Elegant Understated Bag series. So this one is going to be a few different brands that you all requested, and I'm just gonna pick a bag or two from each. So we're gonna go through a bunch. Let's go ahead and get started. So first up is Burberry, and when I think of Burberry, I think of the classic Nova check, which is certainly not, it's elegant, but it's not understated. Most people know what that is. And so these are going to be bags that do not have the Nova check in them. I will also be honest and say that the TB logo as it is right now is not my favorite. So I don't gravitate towards these as much. However, I do think that if you like it, that they are elegant and sophisticated bags. So the first one up is going to be the Frances. This is your classic kind of satchel tote design. It looks quite pretty, and then because of the coloring of the logo, the TB, I think it really does lend itself to be quite understated. The next one is the Loewe, so this is going to be your classic flap, shoulder or crossbody bag, and also with the logo. The logo is a little more obvious on this one, but I think it still definitely fits into that sophisticated, understated realm. So next up we have Loewe, and certainly Loewe makes bags like the elephant bag, the puzzle bag, that I think don't necessarily lend themselves to being sophisticated, but do definitely lend themselves to being understated. I think that Loewe is only a bag that people who love luxury know about. When you see that logo, it doesn't scream luxury to you. It's not super obvious. So it doesn't not scream high quality, it just doesn't scream like a big recognizable brand. So I think Loewe in general is quite understated in terms of that. And I would say that the Goya bag, just with that nice piece of hardware, that nice logo, is really sophisticated and understated looking. And then similarly, I would say that the QB bag, although a lot of them are in that canvas and kind of covered in the print design. So the anagram ones, I think are actually still quite pretty and pretty understated for a printed bag, but I do think that the plain grained calfskin one is more so. And even though it does have some slouch, which I don't necessarily associate with being particularly sophisticated, I think of a more structured, like top handle kind of bag as being that level of sophistication, or the highest level of sophistication. But there is something about this and the way that it kind of hangs that I think is quite elegant, and so I wanted to put it on the list. The next brand that you all requested from me was Tod's, which is another one that I think is generally pretty much like elegant and understated. I don't think of Tod's as being similar to Loewe. I don't think of Tod's as being something particularly in your face. I will say that some of the Tod's designs lend themselves to look more slouchy and less sophisticated, but it depends. So the ones that I'm going to choose are the Timeless handbag, which of course lends itself to sounding, at least, like it is going to be a more elegant, sophisticated bag, which it is. I think that this is pretty. It does have this interesting sort of slouchy design to it. I think of people who gravitate towards Tod's as liking something that is a little bit more slouched and maybe like a hobo shape. Like I think of the shirt bag, which is a hobo shape, that sort of thing a little bit more. So it has, I think, the design that lends itself to its customer base, yet it does so in a way that is a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more structured and more elegant. So I do like this bag, and I think it's a pretty good price at like $1,700. It's pretty, and the big T on it, I think, even though, yes, there's this big piece of hardware that's a logo, I don't think that it's a logo that's well enough known that it isn't understated. And then similarly, to play on that sort of hobo design that I think works really well for Tod's and their customers, the oboe bag does, because of the slim nature of it, it does lend itself to, I think, looking quite sophisticated and understated, because it does have a little bit more structure to it. And it's so long. It's an interesting bag, and I think it's quite elegant in its shape, though it's not a shape I tend to gravitate towards, but I do think it deserves a spot on this list. And then the last brand that you requested is a brand that I do not associate with understated, sophisticated luxury. I think it's a little bit too in your face, a little bit too I don't want to say that edgy isn't sophisticated, but I think of edgy as not being feminine, and I tend to gravitate more towards a feminine aesthetic. So this is not usually a brand that works at all for me, and it's Balenciaga. So it was tricky, but I did find some that I think work for this list. First one up is the lady bag. And of course, lady, it's gonna sound like it's more sophisticated and elegant. And it is. I'm surprised that this is Balenciaga. You've got the logo on there, but again, it's not a super well-known logo, so I don't think that's a problem. It's certainly not like so many of the bags out there that just say Balenciaga in big letters. It is not that. So there is something sophisticated about this bag. I think it's interesting that they've created this bag because I don't think it works so well for their customer base. And I haven't seen it around, so I don't think it's super popular, but it's nice that they did create something. If it is a brand that you're intrigued about, but this is more of your style, it works. Then my second pick is actually twofold. There are two bags that are quite similar in terms of, these are beach bags, raffia bags, which I think have over the last couple years developed into a level of sophistication that wasn't necessarily there before. The coastal grandma trend is helpful in terms of that and that sort of elevated beach bag look. So Balenciaga has two of these. You've got the bistro basket bag, which can be quite large, or you can get the smaller one. It does have that tag that says Balenciaga on it, but you don't have to necessarily keep that, I don't think. But it does have the hardware studs. So it does have that Balenciaga sign to it, but in a very understated, elegant way. And then also the Ibiza bag, that one is going to be very similar, except it's got the logo on the bottom. And I really like the shape of the handle on that one, and I do think it has a little bit of a higher level of sophistication to it with the silhouette. Those were all the brands that you all requested. I do think that some of the other big luxury brands out there are sort of worth mentioning. Celine, I think almost everything Celine makes is understated and elegant, so I don't think that it necessarily needed to be on this list. I would also say that Chanel and Hermes, I didn't include. They're so well known that I think it's harder to get away with it, though there are certainly designs. If you don't go for the popular big three at Hermes, most of them are going to be understated and elegant, or they're going to be understated. There are actually very few of them that I think lend themselves to being particularly elegant looking, but they do definitely have that level of like class and sophistication and understated luxury about them. The Row is another one that I think falls into that. Not necessarily elegant, but definitely understated luxury. And with Chanel, you know, I do think it's so well known that it's harder to find things, but I would say that they're not understated, but they are elegant and sophisticated, a lot of the different designs out there. So just to mention those ones, just because I didn't want to do the whole series without saying anything about them, but yeah, they weren't ones that you all requested, so I didn't find bags for them. I hope that you enjoyed this series. I'd love to know if you found any new bags that were, or if you think that I missed some bags that you think definitely fall under that understated, elegant, sophisticated category. So please do let me know about those down below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in a future video. Bye.